Welcome to Date Like a French Woman, the podcast where we approach dating as a sacred healing journey rather than a quest.
Hi, have you ever been called needy, clingy, or have you ever been told that you were making relationships difficult? How did it make you feel? Did you hate yourself in those moments? Are you maybe experiencing shame when you think about that? If you answered yes to at least one of those questions, this episode today is for you because you are going to learn how to discover the hidden messages behind those experiences and how to change. So, welcome to Date Like a French Woman, the podcast, which is now live on Facebook as well. And if you are a replay viewer, I would love it if you still shared your comments, your questions, because I will come back and answer them. My name is Muriel Felous, if you are not familiar with who I am, and I am teaching dating as a sacred healing journey rather than a quest. Today, we are going to talk about something that a lot of women who tend to attract crappy relationships with guys that are one Mr. Wrong after another are experiencing, and maybe you've experienced that more than once. I know if you're like me, I did in several of my relationships because I was not in the relationship that was healthy. By the way, if you're here and you want to be notified next time I go live, all you have to do is just to put the comment notify me in the comments below, and you'll be added to my list. So I'll let you know beforehand when I'm going to go live so you can come and participate and ask questions. If you are a woman who has been accused of being needy and maybe even obsessed, or clingy, or any other negative qualifier like that in your relationship, I really feel for you. I know and I see it on my clients all the time how it feels. It's very painful. And most of the time, you experience a lot of shame. And I don't know if you're like me, but for myself, I used to hate that woman. I used to hate the fact that I became that woman who was not confident enough to behave otherwise. And believe me, I've done crazy things. I don't know about you, but in the past, when the relationship was really dysfunctional, I spied on my love partner. I looked into the phones. I I just realized my mic wasn't close to me. So here we are. I found ways to try to calm the inner panic that I was feeling in my body. So, what does it mean when you get to become that woman in a relationship? Well, there is, like I said, a hidden message behind that. And it's a hidden message, it's a hidden call for healing. Because obviously, if you become someone who's not emotionally balanced, if you become someone who some men literally said crazy, there is a reason for it. So, what could be the hidden messages? That's what we're going to discover today. Because I want to tell you that you're not crazy and that you can forgive yourself because you reacted that way because something was highly triggered in you. And the little girl in you, the little girl was literally panicking, freaking out because all she wants is love. And she could feel, you can feel in those moments that the love is slipping away, at least what you call love, which usually is not love, but it's more like an emotional addiction. It's slipping away, and you're trying desperately to hold on to it. And that's why you try to manipulate, you try to Have the person stay with you because under the surface, you may feel that something isn't right. You may not be able to exactly pinpoint what is not right. And if you're anything like me or some of my clients, you may even try to catch the person on the act, but always unsuccessfully. And that drives you nuts. And you become even more clingy and you become even more suspicious and you nag. And it's not fun for anybody, not for him and not for you. It is not healthy. So, what could be the scenario? It could be that it's a problem of boundaries and expressing your needs. Uh, have you ever asked yourself before you start the relationship, or if you are in the relationship, what are your needs in a relationship? Do you even know? Did you even ask yourself once, what are my needs in that relationship? What am I trying to bring to myself? How am I trying to feel? What needs to be present for me to feel at ease in that relationship? For example, you may have a need for honesty and you're dealing with somebody who's navigating his life with lies. So, of course, you're going to be mismatched. You're going to be disaligned and it's going to create chaos in you and you're going to start freaking out. Or maybe you have a need for respect that, frankly, everybody should have. I don't like the should, but it really needs to be present in a relationship. Respect and valued. And maybe you don't feel valued because, let's say, the person is setting dates with you and canceling at the last moment, or is not showing up and you're not exactly sure where he is because his stories don't add up. All those things, pay attention to it. Because if you don't meet the needs in a healthy way, you will come from another angle and meet them from an unhealthy way. Thus, the clingy, the obsessed, just because you're desperate to have that in your relationship. And do you know what you're ready to accept or not in a relationship? There are things that we can accept. There are things that we can live with. There are things that we can't. And the last thing I wanted to mention is, who are you in that relationship? Yeah, because you need to behave according to your own standards. Are you telling lies? Then, if you do, no wonder you're getting liars. And even if it's lies about who you are in this relationship and what that relationship is, because most of the time we do that unconsciously. We say that we have something that is only from our projection, from our imagination, from what we want, and it's not really here. We want a cat, we meet a dog, and we want desperately to call him a cat. That cannot function. They're both pets, but believe me, they're completely different. So, have you ever experienced that? And how did you feel? Do you have now clarity about what was going on or not? Put that in the comment. Or if you have any aha moment, put that here too. Put a hashtag and what you learned about yourself. Because it's all about self discovery. And relationships are marvelous for that. I always say they mirror who we are inside. The next thing it could mean, the next message. We talked about boundaries. We talked about boundaries with knowing what your needs are. What about the boundaries with yourself? And that comes in two parts. We mentioned the part one is know your deal breakers. We talked a little bit about what we're ready to accept and what we're not ready to accept. Do you know your deal breakers? What if I told you you're going to have a gorgeous guy? He's going to have everything you want, but he's going to be cheating on you. Are you going to accept that? Are you able to live with that? Probably not. Then that needs to be on your list. What about somebody who wants you to take care of him financially? Is it something you can live with? What about somebody, let's say you're very healthy in your way of taking care of your body and what you eat? You go to the gym, you like hiking, you like doing things outside, and you meet someone who eats junk food all day. Can you live with that? And of course, I'm not telling you what to do, it's for you to decide. Some people can be completely different and still somehow reach a certain level of compatibility. But believe me, when you don't have the same values, at least two or three same values to start with, it makes things so much more complicated. I know because I've experienced dating men from other cultures, for example, where as a French woman, I am independent. I don't like to be told what I can or cannot do. Of course, I always respect my partner, but I don't like dictator. I'm very open-minded. And as I was dating a guy from another culture, he was very, I wouldn't say possessive, but he was making the rules for what I could do. For example, he didn't want me to go to lunch at work with men, a work lunch, not me one on one with a man, but me with several men. If there was not another woman present to that lunch meeting, he didn't want me to go. And of course, that didn't fly with me because I need my freedom. I am respectful. I value my partner even when I'm not there. I expect the same from him. I expect him to leave me room. And by the way, when somebody is too suspicious of you, um, cheating on him maybe, when you are not that kind of person, when it is not the impression that you give with your behavior and who you are, be alerted. That's a red flag because we project who we are and what we do on others. So always try to be observing, try to take note, and don't cross your own boundary. I'm sorry, I'm going to cough. And I'm going to have a sip of my homemade kombucha. Talking about good food, I love kombucha, I love kefir, I make it at home, it's delicious. So don't cross your own boundary of your deal breaker because you like the guy too much or because you're so afraid of ending up alone with 10 cats. Don't do that to yourself. Keep your own boundary and know your deal breakers. The second part of boundary is also an inner boundary, but it's a boundary between now and then. It's a boundary between now and your past relationships. Keep them in the past. If you know that you are triggered by certain stuff, you work on that. Work to desensitize your triggers and to augment your awareness so you know right away who you're dealing with and you make the selection from the beginning. Like you have a filter where the guys that you used to date don't come, you don't draw them in your life anymore. And even if they get close to you, because you became somebody else, they don't get attached to Velcro. Don't be a Velcro for Mr. Wrong. And basically, that's what we do with my clients. These women learn what in them attracted those guys, what in them invited them, both on an emotional level, on a behavior level, on an energy level, because we do that. So do not bring those Mr. Wrongs from the past and start being triggered right and left if you're dealing with a good guy. Because if you do the work on yourself, at a certain point, you are going to attract good guys. Whether they're compatible or not, that's another question. Because, as we said, we need to have certain values in common. You need to have certain commonality, a common ground to be able to build a strong relationship. And a good guy can be still not the right guy for you, but he can be a good guy nonetheless. So do not do that to them. It is crucial that you learn to stay on your side of the gate, as I always say, and you become neutral. And you don't take, I've done a show about taking your emotions for the truth, and that's something you need to shift. You need to let go of that habit because that will lead you wrong, that will steer you wrong every single time. Your emotions are only derived from the story you're telling yourself, and you need to be neutral. So cultivate awareness, know your triggers, know your red flags, and even put on paper. If there are incidents that then make you believe that you're dealing with somebody who's not trustworthy, for example, put things on paper and see if it's a reaction from your past because you've been burnt, as we say, or if it is something real. And if it's too hard for you to do that because you can't get to a neutral point because you're too triggered, you still need to do some work on yourself. Either it's not the right time for you to start dating and you need to do more work, or maybe it's still just the reminiscence of an old habit. Ask a girlfriend, someone you trust, not someone who's going to start shaming you for picking the wrong guy over and over, because I know that that can feel horrible. It happened to me when I was dating a guy who was he was a taker, not a giver. And my girlfriend, who was married for 30 plus years, literally told me, I don't know how you can fall in love with those losers. I don't understand. You're an intelligent woman in life. How come? How can you fall in love like that? And that really hurt me. Not only was I hurt by the guy, but to get that slap in my face from a girlfriend, it was really worse. Made it worse. So are you experiencing echoes from your past or is it something real? Develop your awareness. And I'm going to do a show about awareness because there are many ways to cultivate awareness so it becomes a second habit in your body more and more and more. That's the second part of the boundary. That's an inner boundary. Both are the last ones we talked about. I hope it helps. And really, it it is a question of understanding why you did that. Because once you understand that you were triggered and that it wasn't really who you are, that's just a reaction to what's going on, and that comes from the pain in you, that comes from your little girl who's crying and shouting and scared. And by the way, you can even put your hand on your heart because I've done that in my uh, um, former class. You put a hand on your heart and you calm that little girl down because all she needs is attention. And if she doesn't get your attention, if you don't cultivate a relationship with that little girl in you, she's going to act out. She's exactly like a teenager. If you don't give, or even they start really young, the kids, if you don't give positive attention, they're going to find a way to get negative attention. That's the way it works inside too. So make sure that you really start getting to know yourself and forgive yourself. By the way, if you are not part of my private group on Facebook, it's called Date Like a French Woman Free Coaching Group. You want to join because we are going to start working on things like this with emotional freedom technique, mini sessions, they're live, and on topics like self-forgiveness and developing awareness, all kinds of little powerful tools like that you can learn and practice to really get to where you want to go. So I will put the link in the description of that video and you can just join. But I want to warn you, it is not a dating site, because I have a lot of people requesting to be part of that because they want to find love in the group. They want to I have a lot of guys sending me messages that they want to find a woman. That's not what we're about. We are about sacred healing to create the emotional and energetic space for the love that you really want in your life, because it starts with us. And unless you are removing one by one the blocks that are in your ways and what is drawing those people in your life, you're going to continue drawing the same kind of crap. Forgive my French, but that's what you're going to continue drawing to you. Unless you can clean the filter, you will draw the same kind of partners that you've been drawing. So start developing some awareness. And if you have questions, you can put them here. If you've been called clingy in a relationship and you don't dare putting it here because it's too open, it's on my business page, join the free group coaching, the private one, and we can interact there. You can say stuff that won't be open to the entire world, because I know it's a sensitive subject. We have a lot of shame. We have a lot of shame regarding that, but it's just a reaction from pain. So I really hope that you practice the tools to go back and make a summary of what we've talked about here. We've talked about the hidden message for those behavior of being clingy and needy and obsessed and difficult as a hidden call for healing. Healing in expressing your needs, knowing what you need to have in a relationship, and becoming someone who will also measure up to the version of partner that you want. Setting boundaries both with the outside world, with what are you ready to accept and what are you not ready to accept. Knowing your deal breakers and setting a boundary with yourself that if the deal breaker is happening just in front of you, let's say your partner is unfaithful and you highly value honesty and faithfulness, you're out of here. Set a boundary with yourself. If the person is so cute, the guy is so cute that you can't, you have to set a boundary. You're out of, as soon as you see a deal breaker, you're out. Not two or three. One deal breaker, you're out. So it requires you to know them. And then set boundaries, inner boundaries with yourself. This one was already an inner boundary, but the second inner boundary is don't drag your past into the present. Set a limit and see who you're dealing with. Become aware, become neutral, see who you're dealing with, and don't make the new guy pay for the last 10 ones or the people you've dated before. Work on yourself, catch your triggers, and talk to the little child inside who's freaking out every time something goes wrong and you think you're going to end up alone for the rest of your life with 10 dogs or 10 cats. That's what I shared today. If you valued what I share and it helped you, please like it here, send me some hearts, say hello, and share it with your friends. You can also share it as a form of the podcast, because I also am on iTunes. As I said, this is a podcast that is now recorded live. So this episode will be also on iTunes. So if you listen to the show and you like it, go and review. I would love it. I thank you for being here, because I love when I can help you. Hi, by the way, if you're here, I can see your names, I can see pictures. So thank you for being here. And if you want to be notified next time, just put notify me in the comments and I'll let you know in advance so you can prepare your questions. But the truth is, you can even put your questions after the show and I'll come back to answer. Have a wonderful evening and forgive and be kind to yourself. Self-compassion. Understand that it is not that person who you are. You're not that woman or that guy who's clingy. That's just a reaction. May you be loved and realize that you are always loved. I'll see you next time. Bye.
If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. And for questions, information, or to book a free 30-minute introductory coaching session, please visit datelikeafrenchwoman.com.